I'm Shae Russell for mining.com.au, and joining me today is Ivan Fairhall, the Managing Director for Pivotal Metals. Ivan, it's great to have you back on. How are you?
Great, Shae. Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yes, now you and I have had some excellent chats over the past quarter, and that's what we're here to talk about today, sort of a summary of Q3. Listen, I've got to be honest, you pumped out a lot of information to the market during Q3. Tell me, what has the company learned with all of the drill holes that were released to the market?
Thanks, Shae. Yeah, it was an extremely busy quarter. We put out a lot of results, and it was a very important quarter to sort of step back. It's where a lot of the hard work of 2024 has come together. We put out lots of results. This was our first drill program on the project. It was locked up for 10 years. Not a hole was drilled. And realistically, it's actually been nearly 50 years since anyone's actually tested the margins of the resource. Some of the drilling that was done in the intervening period was infill, so some new information, but didn't really change people's understanding of the asset. So this program that we've done was a very important one to kind of start to build on the story, and it really delivered. We stepped out in multiple directions with the drilling. We've got strong mineralized intercepts, clearly extending the resources out, and so that creates obvious resource upside as we've drilled out from the resource. And the other quite important thing in terms of defining the upside was the downhole EM that we did. So the downhole EM geophysical survey, and what it showed was overwhelming extensions of the mineralization beyond the deepest drilling. So where we extended mineralization, it's basically given us an indication that extended mineralization is continued well beyond the drilling. So in many places, several hundreds of meters of continuity is implied. So we know that the deposit extends substantially, and it lays out a pathway for continued resource growth over time.
So let's talk about some of the key highlights that all of that drilling did pull out of the ground. And this is that it is now a shallow mineralisation. I believe that you've combined two ore bodies together to be one, which have long-term benefits for the company. But also, too, you've now got a smattering of precious metals throughout this deposit. Tell me, how does this shape the long-term cost profile for the company going forward?
Exactly. So we've stepped out in multiple directions. The down, deeper. I just talked about it, and you've highlighted some of the along strike step out that we've done. And an important part of that was we drilled in between the two pit areas. So we've demonstrated continuous mineralization through there. So there's shallow upside is of particular value, I must admit, because of by definition, it comes out earlier, so it's earlier cash flow. We've already got a very large open pit that implies on the startup, an open pit kind of good startup capacity. So if we can make that bigger, that's obviously a key target of ours, and that's part of the reason we did a lot of infill drilling in that area, because parts of the deposit, like you mentioned, we're not assayed for many of the precious metals, PGMs, and I mean, we've seen platinum go up, nearly 10% overnight. So these are important metals that have a lot of value. Everyone knows what gold's doing. So this is real value that we've taken from the existing resource and made it better. So we've delivered on the existing resource, we've made it bigger, and then building on that shallow open pit sort of story, we've done some regional geophysics, and what we'd really like to do, and we've got a plan to build on that, is discover more shallow mineralization. So we've got we've released some really important information about the long strike step outs, and we're about to do a very detailed EM survey of the whole property that's going to hopefully help us highlight additional resource areas that either make the pit even bigger or maybe satellite pits, and they're really important parts of just building out the bigger story here at Horden Lake.
Listen, this is almost rude of me to ask my next question, given the success of what you've produced in Q3, and that is, what comes next? I know you've got a healthy balance sheet. How are you going to take the activities of Q3 and roll them into essentially 2025? Because that's what we're talking about now.
100%. I mean, we're coming to the fun part. I mean, this is really we're coming to the period where we get to quantify what it all means. So we've got these great results, but what does it really mean? So we've got a metallurgical test work program that's ongoing, and that's obviously super important to understand the recoverability of what we found, because that's what drives revenue. So we're excited to get those results out once the program's finished its optimization. That takes some time, but we're getting there. And post that test work, we'll be updating the resource, so adding all of that additional information, step out drilling, infill drilling, bringing all that together, hopefully make the resources bigger. That's obviously an exciting measure of what we've achieved through the year. with the geophysical survey that I mentioned. So, and that's all leading into next year's drill program, where we're going to continue on the exploration success that we've had in 2024. And so it's just things have come together very well, and we're excited about continuing, focusing on the asset, doing the things that we can control, and delivering what is, substantial value there that's just absolutely not being reflected in our share price.
Well, listen, I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to the updates for Horden Lake this year, and it sounds like I'm going to get to enjoy more excellent results as the months roll on. Listen, Ivan, thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to hear what comes next.
Thanks, Shae. Great to be on.